Section 82. Vaishampayana said, Yayati then on returning to his capital, which was like unto the city of Indra, entered his inner apartments and established there his bride Devayani. And the monarch, directed by Devayani, established Rishaparvan's daughter Sarmishta in a mansion especially erected near the artificial woods of Ashokas in his gardens. And the king surrounded Rishaparvan's daughter Sarmishta with 1,000 maids, and honored her by making every arrangement for her, food and garments. But it was with Devayani that the royal son of Nahusha sported like a celestial for many years in joy and bliss. And when her season came, the fair Devayani conceived, and she brought forth her first child, a fine boy. And when 1,000 years had passed away, Rishaparvan's daughter, Sarmishta, having attained to puberty, saw that her season had come. She became anxious, and said to herself, My season hath arrived, but I have not yet chosen a husband. Oh, what hath happened? What should I do? How am I to obtain the fruition of my wishes? Devayani hath become mother. My youth is doomed to pass away in vain. Shall I choose him also for my husband, whom Devayani hath chosen? This is indeed my resolve, that monarch should give me a son. Will not the virtuous one grant me a private interview? Vaishampayana continued. While Sarmishta was thus busy with her thoughts, the king wandering listlessly came to that very woods of Ashokas, and beholding Sarmishta before him, stood there in silence. That Sarmishta of sweet smiles, seeing the monarch before her, with joined hands, O son of Nahusha, no one can behold the ladies that dwell in the inner apartments of Soma, of Indra, of Vishnu, of Yama, of Varuna and of thine. Thou knowest, O king, that I am both handsome and well born. I solicit thee, O king, my season hath arrived. See that it goeth not in vain. Yayati answered, Well do I know that honour of birth is thine, born as thou art born in the proud race of the Danavas. Thou art also gifted with beauty. I do not indeed see even the speck of a fault in thy feature. But Usanas commanded me, while I was united with Devayani, that never should Rishaparvan's daughter be summoned to my bed. Sarmishta then said, It hath been said, O king, that it is not sinful to lie on the occasion of a joke, in respect of women sought to be enjoyed on occasions of marriage, in peril of immediate death, and of the loss of one's whole fortune. Lying is excusable on these 5 occasions. O king, it is not true that he is fallen, who speaks not the truth, when asked. But Devayani and myself have been called either as companions to serve the same purpose. When therefore thou hadst said that you wouldst confine thyself to one only amongst us, that was a lie. That was a lie thou hadst spoken. Yayati replied, A king should ever be a model in the eyes of his people. That monarch certainly meets with destruction who speaks untruth. As for myself, I do not dare speak untruth, even if the greatest loss threatens me. Sarmishta answered, O monarch, one may look upon her friend's husband as her own. One's friend's marriage is the same as one's own. Thou hast been chosen, my friend, as her husband. Thou art as much my husband. Therefore, Yayati then said, It is indeed my vow always to grant what one asks. As thou asks me, tell me then what I am to do. Sarmishta then said, Absolve me, O king, from sin, protect my virtue, becoming a mother by thee. Let me practice the highest virtue in this world. It is said, O king, that a wife, a slave, and a son can never earn wealth for themselves. What they earn always belongs to him who owns them. I am indeed the slave of Devayani. Thou art Devayani's master and lord. Thou art therefore, O king, my master and lord, as much as Devayanis. I solicit thee to fulfill my wishes. Vaisampayana continued, thus addressed by Sarmista. The monarch was persuaded into the truth of all she spoke. He therefore honored Sarmista by protecting her virtue, and they passed some time together, and taking affectionate farewell for each other, they then parted, each returning to whence he or she had come. And it came to pass that Sarmista of sweet smiles and fair eyebrows conceived in consequence of that connection of hers with that best of monarchs. And O king, that lotus-eyed lady then in due course of time brought forth a son of the splendor of a celestial child, and of eyes like lotus petals. Thus ends the 82nd section.